Welcome to the Triple Takeover Toycast, a fortnightly podcast all about Transformers and occasionally other toy lines as well. My name is Sixo, but more on that later because I'm joined, as ever, by my gorgeous co-hosts. First up, we got Liam from Toybox Soapbox. How you doing?
What ho?
I was waiting for that. There it is.
Oh, sorry. What ho and prosper.
Is that okay? Nice.
Oh. It's like that guy off that spaceship show. That's not Star Wars.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. Well, you normally go for a kind of Star Wars themed greeting, don't you? So that's it's right, nice to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, crossing the streams.
Well, this is the way.
Oh,
there it is.
Wow.
And we're back in the other way now. Look, there you go. Come on. Had it both ways.
Amazing.
What ho is the way?
Speaking of having it both ways, we've also got Jason from JSwearX. How you doing?
What do you mean by that?
I've no idea, mate. I just said something and thought you might react to it. So,
I mean, creating a name for me.
well,
I'm
maybe.
good. I'm very good. Yeah, I'm
like
really
you
good.
haven't created a
well,
name for
I
you. You
know.
have done that yourself.
Exactly. Did you earlier on? I was doing a quote. What was it? It was about doing the Bumblebee episode that's just gone out for the movie, and I was doing A is for RC, B is for Bumblebee, C is for a cool new episode, and one of our patrons replied with C is for Seacons. So
There you go.
busted. It was very good actually. It did make me laugh.
Yeah.
Nice one.
You know when it gets to TFN, don't you, that you're going to have people just coming up to you going, "See ya, con."
Yeah, I need a T-shirt, don't I? That's it, just with a Seacon on it.
Oh, absolutely. You're going to have people grabbing you in the dealer room and pulling you
Just
over to
showing
the
me.
table just to show you that there's a Seacon
What's
on
that?
the table.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to hear you say it.
Exactly.
I can't wait.
It's good. It's going to be good. But yeah, doing well.
Good. Excellent.
What about you, Sixo? How are you? Because you never get asked because you're always introing, aren't you?
Oh,
You all right?
well, I
You
get
good?
these days. Yeah.
That's because there's more on that later. Don't worry.
Right,
There is,
exactly.
That's true. Yeah,
There's
yeah.
always more on that later. Yeah, I'm all right, actually. I'm well. We're recording a little bit earlier than normal tonight, aren't we? It's not our usual late schedule, so we're going to be finished well before
It's
midnight
daylight.
tonight.
It's still
It
light
is still
outside.
daylight.
It's
It's
weird.
a little bit of light
I
out.
know.
It's weird, isn't it?
Very strange.
I feel a little bit unprepared for it. This is relatively sociable.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to get down to it tonight with Minibots. That's what it's all about. It's
Yes.
1985 Minibots. And it's only fair to say that this was given to us originally as a commission, actually. And it was from Josh Bell, one of our patrons. Now, we do this thing on our Patreon, where we ask our patrons, I got it the right way,
That's
right
it.
way around,
You got
kind
it.
of. Yeah.
And then many wrong ways after for some reason.
I'm having it both ways now. But yeah, one of our patrons on Patreon, and one of our perks is that we ask them if they would like to commission a mini-sode. We do little mini episodes on our Patreon and our mini-sodes, and they can commission them. And this was a mini-sode commission, but it's a subject that we love so much and is so dear to our hearts that we decided to promote it to a regular episode. So we're going to talk about it for whatever length of time we feel is necessary and just basically ramble about these 5 gorgeous toys from 1985, the Minibots. So there you go, Josh. You've got an extended play, as it were.
Yeah. And we did the 84 Minibots, didn't we, for Patreon at some point in the past?
We did, yes. Don't tell me what number it was. I know
It was
it's on the
quite
tip of
early
your
on.
tongue.
Some
that one,
early-
when you guys did
early
that.
days, wasn't it?
Yeah. I
I'm
think
going
it
to guess
was.
at episode 12, but I have no idea.
I think it was a mini. I'm pretty sure it was a mini.
Oh, it was a mini-sode. That's right. You're right. Of course it was.
Yeah,
It was a mini-sode, it was. And I remember after it finished and went off air, I was like, I can't wait to do this again so we can talk about Powerglide.
Yeah.
Fast forward like 3 years and it's like,
I was going to
hey,
say,
finally.
it goes quick, doesn't it? It's one of those mad things where you think, oh yeah, we'll come back to that, and then somehow 2 or 3 years goes by and still not done it. So whilst we're talking, I'm frantically looking up trying to figure out what mini-sode it was that we talked about.
I didn't delete this one off the spreadsheet.
Right.
Yeah. Busted, exactly. Whilst you're finding that, Sixo, then for me, you call them Minibots. A childhood part for me is these were always mini Autobots. That's what I always called them. And I still
Really?
to this day call them mini Autobots. Yeah.
Just adding in a few syllables there, just in the middle of
because,
it.
But it's that thing, isn't it? They're Autobots, they're mini. That's what I call them. You know,
Did it start off as mini Abots and then
mini Autobots?
and then it became mini Autobots?
I wasn't that young,
Right?
You know,
Jason,
so-
you always surprise me because you always go in the way I don't expect. When you started that sentence, I was like,
Both ways.
he's going to point out that the correct name is the mini vehicles. And then instead,
so
then there was the swerve from mini to
that's right.
Autobots. And I was like, this is the Jason we know.
Well, that's
and
why.
There we go.
Well, then I was looking at the wiki, as I often do before we have these chats, to make sure I know what I'm mostly talking about. And Hasbro renamed the assortment to mini vehicles.
They did.
Which, come on, mini bots or mini Autobots, way better. Sorry, Hasbro, got that one wrong. Mini vehicles.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, it's because they're miniature vehicles.
Yeah, but then you got the mini ones, which
your spy changes or
your
your
spy
Micromasters?
changes,
The
and then you got your
Micromasters.
Micromasters as well.
Yeah.
So then,
it's funny actually. I mean, I wasn't necessarily thinking that we were going to get straight into it with scale, but apparently we are. So fine. So
naming
we'll do
convention.
that. Yeah, exactly. I will just say it was Minisode 23, by the way, which you can find on our Patreon. That was the 1984 Minibots, and that was
Michael Jordan of minisodes.
Yeah, that was about 10 years ago that we recorded that. So not literally, but it feels like it. But yeah, no, the scale thing is interesting because these guys somehow they were the smallest Transformers to begin with, but they kind of bridge. Now that you look at G1 holistically, they kind of bridge a bit of a gap between like your Micromasters, which of course are teeny tiny, and your Spy Changes and all of that. But actually, some of these they're not that much smaller than some of the Autobot cars even. Yeah. Like Hound is sort of almost Minibot size.
It's the price point, isn't it? This is this is the pocket money toy. This is the edge of the till, that sort of thing. Because this is how I remember these toys. Is I remember like various shops. These were always on racks more than anything, and a lot of the time coming out of a toy shop, you'd have seen them on the shelves with the rest of the toys, but then you would see them on racks near the door or the side, or shops that didn't normally have toys in. Like I remember there was a sports shop in Nottingham called Redmayne and Todd. Shout out to my vintage Nottingham peeps. And I went in there to get a Forest shirt in the mid 80s or something with my grandma, and there on a rack was Powerglide, Warpath, all of these sort of Minibots and mini vehicles.
Liam, I am not from Nottingham.
Does that?
No, I'm doing his thing that he normally does.
What are you talking about? Your name isn't Not.
I know, but I'm not from Nottingham. That's why that's like a play on what you normally do. It's like a funny. It's funny.
For all those listeners who have the unfortunate happenstance to be named after a location, I mean,
we're used to this coming from Liam and not from you. So this
I know, right?
My brain couldn't compute. My brain's like, "What's happening?" I'm in an alternate universe.
It was too clever. That was the thing.
It's too early in the evening.
It was too meta. It was too. It was too meta, too highbrow.
Did you not realize I was trying to do my impression of you with the silence and the
right?
But you did it very well. A sigh as well. I
never realised how intimidating that silence is. Actually, like, God, really felt the pressure there for a second. Finish your story, please. Move us on.
Totally. So, what you were talking about, Liam, to do with, and I realise this is about the mini Autobots, but I did want to mention about the fact that the thing that I loved about these as well was how they were presented on the card, and you could just flick through them, looking at them all, and I don't display stuff in their packaging. But these guys, I would happily, if I could get a
really?
And then this is a person who has multiple versions of the mini Autobots. So I've got I think I've got 3 of each currently, as it stands. And I really like them. I really like them for many different reasons. But great little fiddle bots, just get them on the desk, muck around with them, click, click, click. You got a car. And then back
Jason,
it's great.
Good you said that, because the only mint on card sealed toys I have on display are the reissues, of the mini vehicles.
Lovely.
Warpath, Gears, and the Bumblebee from a couple of years ago. They're the only sealed toys I have on display.
Yeah. So I was this close to buying them for that exact reason, but I had nowhere at the time to put them. So I was just like, I'm sure they'll be around for ages. No. Gone.
The Warpath was really hard to get hold of, but there's a nostalgia to those cards, isn't there? Beyond anything like this and the Scramble City cards, they're very similar. The same sort of thing, isn't it? The small cards on the shelf, on the racks, all these things.
Very much so.
But there's such a nostalgia to those cards. For me, it's like almost above anything else Transformers related. Those are the things I instantly see, because that would be the one you got the most often. I think it was most easily available.
And even back in the day, like talking in the 80s or whatever, even if you didn't have some of these guys, you knew someone that did, right? They were all over the place at school. I mean, I just remember them like in your pocket.
That's
and
right.
Whatever else, and it was they were just everywhere. I mean, I don't think I knew many kids at school that didn't have a sea spray, for example. Like it was just such a ubiquitous toy, it just always knackered, always looked like crap, but they were loved. They were
chewed little blades on the
end. Yeah. Yellowed somehow, inexplicably, even only a year after release. Just from like everything they went through, like always like sat out in the sun somewhere.
Yellow bit just falling down.
Yeah, floppy as anything. Or like covered in sand or just like really sticky from having been in pockets with like sweets and stuff like that as well. They went through it, these toys, didn't they?
Yeah. It's totally. It is. But I think that's also what made them so much fun. Because they were, like, you could just grab them, take them with you. Still, like, out of desk bots that I'll have, it will be a mini Autobot that I'll have on my desk more often than not. Partly because then I don't have to pull out a manual to explain how to transform it for me in my aging years. But yeah, so I'm gonna do what I do, right, and dive straight in. But out of the 85,
Ooh. Here we go. 85. Jason's opinions.
Well, no, for all of us.
Jason's cutting in.
Cutting in. Here we go. So out of those,
what did we have? Ways again.
We had Beachcomber, Cosmos, Paraglide, Sea Spray, and Warpath.
After that, Jason's going to be cutting up.
So I think I can already predict, because you said it already, Paraglide was your favourite, Liam. Is that right? If you had to choose one from this year.
Well, this is really tough because it's Warpath and Powerglide are two of my favourite Transformers.
Yeah.
Warpath is the Transformer, the rare Transformer that I tried to buy every version that comes out of him. It's just one of those. Just I have a real affection for him, but Warpath's not far behind. And it's those two, but yeah, Powerglide is, along with Blue Streak, my favourite Transformer. So, but Warpath again would be the third.
Favourite Transformer or favourite Minibot?
Well, favourite Transformer character. There's something about that kind of play mode, but all the toys he has are generally just pretty cool. It's just, I don't know what it is. I have this connection to that kind of swooshy jet modey thing.
Swooshy.
Yeah, totally.
Like I have a small one that our patron Joshua's gave me while we were in Manchester, right here on my desk.
Yes, I saw that.
Was so lovely of
a little cartoon.
I saw that in the pub, didn't I? It was lovely little thing. Probably not any bigger than the original 1985 toy, is it?
No, I think it's probably smaller, to be fair.
Right.
But more posable. Does he have his big gloves?
Yeah.
He
does have big boxing mitts. But the original Powerglide toy is like no other Transformer. There are so many similarities between lots of toys, but in these Minibots, there are a few of them that are very unlike any other Transformers. Yeah. We said that in the 84 one, didn't we? They were just the way they transform, the way they move. And Powerglide is like that. When you think about like extending the legs is one thing, but they're not really legs. They're just the bottom half of a jet. And, it's a bit different to a car where they kind of pull apart and look like legs. But you also have, it's the way the arms swivel and rotate
the arms
into each other.
So unique,
and the wings fold up like that and his head flips around and it's just very different. It feels almost toward being a GoBot in some ways. It's just,
absolutely.
Totally agree
but
with
good,
that.
But not crap.
GoBots are great. I love a GoBot.
Yeah,
I love a
Not
GoBot.
here for the GoBot slander.
Oh, I didn't say that. Somebody just sliced that in.
Right.
But I know what you mean, though. It does, because it's like, it does have you can still see the alt mode in Paraglide. It's quite obvious. And his extra long arms, as me growing up as a very lanky child, made me feel normal. So it's actually quite nice.
Long of limb. Yeah.
Long of limb, exactly. Yeah.
He's very wavy as well, isn't he? He's got the wavy. There's almost like a Lost in Space style vintage robot feel to the way his arms move. Because they don't just move up and down; they're kind of all over the place, aren't they? They've got that
pivot. They've got
extra joints
got loads going on. Yeah, because it's completely unfold. It's just like
definitely. He sort of retains the alien-esque quality of the 84 Minibots. So I think one thing that we said pretty unanimously about the original crew of Minibots is that because of their origins, particularly like your Gears, your Huffers, and your Brawns, especially Brawn actually.
Yeah.
Because of their, the whole deal with them coming from the Mysterians, Muffy and the Mysterians. There's a wonderful Chris McFeely video on this, by the way, if you want to read up on it and find out all about the Mysterians and the origins of those toys. But, because they came through a weird route, they look very, not out of place, but they're very sci-fi sort of 60s robot vibe to them, and they look very different versus a lot of other stuff in Transformers that has these sort of more traditional Diaclone or microchange origin. And I feel like Powerglide retains a little bit of that actually. Like he looks bizarrely out of place as a toy versus even his contemporaries, yet he does still sort of fit in a weird way as well. It's hard to explain.
And I think with Cosmos as well, Cosmos has a bit of that for me, with his big giant clobbery feet that he's got.
And his big bum.
And his tiny little head. His tiny
got a massive bum.
He is a UFO, so, give him a break,
It's the originator of, that pic everyone used to post of Kim Kardashian with something on her backside?
It is very much like
this
that.
This is what Cosmos can do that. He's got like a bookshelf.
I'm slightly ashamed that I know the picture that you're talking about, Liam. It's a reference that I didn't particularly want to get. But...
I feel like we need Kim Kardashian wearing a Cosmos Triple Takeover merch now.
I thought you can say on the pod.
We're not doing that, no. That's never happening.
Get her a mug.
Yeah.
Get her a mug, a Cosmos mug.
I mean, it would be great advertising.
It would be. That's
if she was into it.
I hear she only does Star Trek podcasts.
Is that right?
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So she's a Kim Kardashian.
Is that why you led in with Star Trek at the bit? Oh my god.
That was good. That was good.
I was halfway through speaking there and it hit me what you just said.
I thought there was going to be a Klingon joke or something. Wow.
Good God.
Wow.
You're really gunning for it with the Star Trek tonight, aren't you? What's happening?
Well, I wanted to boldly go where no Liam has gone before.
Now you're getting the silence. Now you're getting
exactly.
I thought you'd be impressed with all these enterprising ideas.
Oh no!
Oh, look at him. He's got all defiant.
Okay, that one was pretty good.
Oh no!
That was pretty good.
I think you got every single version of Star Trek in there, Liam. That was
I didn't even like Star Trek. But
it's impressive.
I think you like it a little bit.
Yeah, you got a lot of knowledge going on there.
There's no data for that.
Oh no! Too far.
I'm putting an end to it now. You've had your time.
That's enough.
You've had your time.
Cut.
I'm gonna say, talking about Powerglide's hands and all of this. One thing, of course, I with you, Liam, I really like this character in the cartoon, and I don't know why, because he's a twat, isn't he? Let's be fair. Like, he's a total prick. But there's something about him. Yeah, I just enjoyed watching him as a child. Like I remember him very distinctly. I had Dinobot Island on VHS, so of course a lot of the characters that were introduced in that became favourites of mine. I also really like Trax, who's also a bit of a prick, but he just happens to be one of my favourite Autobots because he's in Dinobot Island and I had the VHS. But there's just always something about Powerglide, and The Girl Who Loved Powerglide is a standout favourite episode of mine, without question. Like, I just adore that episode. And it sort of pains me that I need to mention this, but have you seen the bit with his hand at the end?
No.
Do you know what I'm going to say?
Yes,
when he opens his chest.
When he opens his chest. Have you looked at a screenshot of that in a while?
No.
I feel like I might ruin the episode for you slightly now, but I'm going to post
my
it.
childhood.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to post it in the chat.
I've seen it.
Oh my gosh! He had the tiny hand.
The tiny hand. Yeah,
the Beetle hand.
He's got a very tiny little hand. Yeah,
the Jeremy Beadle.
Yeah, it does kind of kill me slightly that it looks like that.
It's so funny.
It's like they forgot. It's
like the animator was like, "How do I make this work? Just do a tiny hand. No one will notice." 40 years later,
it's like that whole "these are far away, these are small" kind of thing, isn't it?
It's a really big door on his chest. Yeah, that's what it is.
It's some sort of forced perspective stuff going on with that one.
It's funny how that detracts your attention from the fact that the light heart. You're like, what are the lights? Why are they there? They don't make sense as to what, like, the parts on his chest at all.
Don't make any sense.
We agree that we need to be forgiving of the cartoon in lots of ways. And here we go again.
One of the things with Powerglide I've always loved is it's not just his toy or his animation, but there's just something about the way he looks. Like the uniqueness of the wings pointing out of the chest and the way they always form. But it's just one of the things. Like, as a kid, I always particularly loved the Flash, Daredevil, Powerglide, and Warpath. I think it's just red characters. There's something about red characters that I always gravitate toward.
Well, there's a lot of them in Transformers, so you're pretty well served. So,
Sixo, have you got a fave before we we miss out on what? So, who's your fave?
Yes.
Oh, really? Later then?
All of them? No, it's all of them.
Oh no! It's all right. That was my whole reveal. That it is all of them. I can't decide.
Right. No, I can't decide either. Like, in all seriousness, I probably could. I think I have ranked the Minibots in an article somewhere along the line. I think I have said these are, my favorite Minibots or whatever. Yeah. These 5 in particular, I'm gonna say that this is, for me, the best year of Minibots. Like, even if you count stuff like the Throttlebots in as kind of honorary Minibots, which I know some people do, even then, this is, for me, the superior year of Minibots. I just think it's very, very strong outings. Only 5 of them, not 6, like some of the other years. I just think that all 5 of them have their own personality. A lot of it comes down to their cartoon depictions as well, because I think they were really well served. They were in that kind of second season when what I really like about that in the cartoon is that they had just bizarre personalities, but also they weren't your classic jocks. You know, like a lot of the 84 cast, like I always think of Sideswipe as like your typical kind of American jock character. You know, he's like very gung-ho. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cliffjumper had a little something to him, but even then, they're all kind of like, they're hungry for the action, all of that kind of stuff, you know? And there's a lot of the 85 characters, and Perceptor is obviously the ultimate example of this, but the Minibots, these 5, really kind of exemplify it as well, that they're just a bit off the beaten path in terms of the stereotype that you would imagine in, like, quote-unquote, a boys cartoon. I don't consider it that, but that's how it was marketed, you know, a boys cartoon of the 80s. You know, like Beachcomber being a pacifist, that kind of stuff. It's just really positive in my opinion, and a little bit different and interesting, and the toys have that as well, I think. So for me, best year of Minibots without question.
Yeah, totally. I would agree. Yeah.
One of the things about Powerglide as well is he's one of the earliest like jet transformers that you can really just pick up and transform dead fast. You know, like in the cartoon when you first see Starscream transform and he does that backflip and all that, and he jumps up into the air. And the toy could never do that because you've got to
take all the bits off,
take the parts off.
Take his fists
Whereas
off,
strip him down.
I think Powerglide is like one of the earliest jets you could pick up and literally just go. You know, it's suddenly, he's not a very dynamic toy, but it becomes dynamic to play with in your mind because you can just go backwards and forwards.
Completely agree.
And do you know when the was it the Thrilling 30 one that came out? Was it Thrilling 30 or was it another?
Yeah,
the big guy.
No, it's before. It was just Transformers Universe.
Universe, wasn't it? That Universe toy. I love that toy so much because it had such a wonderful nod to the Mini Autobot that I grew up with, in the fact that they even put a heart inside it in a little secret panel. But it's the way
and
he
the light up rocket tits. Big light up rocket tits.
I know you like those bits, but it's like his little shin guards, because he's got the kind of in the Mini Autobot. As you said, it's just like basically a wing on his feet and stuff like that. But they kept those things, and they could have tidied it up in the later versions and stuff. But I think that's the thing, is that these were such iconic characters that even when they have been reinvented, they've still kept the kind of core part of what they are. You know, like Beachcomber's shades for being in the desert. How cool is that? That's what he needs. I love that. Kept that going all the way through. You know, Cosmos could simplify that into less bulky kind of character, but that's the fun of him, and that's what makes him so quirky and different. And
the only Transformer looks like he's wearing a fez as well. Doesn't
he? It really does. He's got a spot the old Tommy Cooper about him.
Yeah, exactly,
definitely. But they're all unusual body types. Like just obviously, you know, you've got Warpath with his big protruding cannon, you know, right out of his just coming out of his chest. But you know, all 5 of them. I mean, Sea Spray has got his inexplicable hovercraft slippers and things like this.
Yeah,
you know,
mono foot.
It's just bizarre, like little toys. Beachcomber is probably the most normal.
So I like
say the word. You know,
he's
like
very posable. You can make him do a little walk and all that kind of stuff. Kinda, it's fun. Yeah.
If you scaled him up, he would fit in quite well with the other robot cars.
Yeah, he would.
But he's the only one that's not like kind of crazy and weird.
He does have really long arms, though. Again, as well. So when you look at proportion,
do you always remember to extend the legs?
What?
Not always.
Yeah, you got it. Do you know this, Jason? You got it.
Oh no!
You got Beachcomber there.
I've got the one that was made by Matt.
Yeah. Well, obviously, be careful. Yeah, we're going to talk about those, but be careful with that. But if you unfold the legs,
this is where he snaps it in half, isn't it?
Yeah, don't pull it too hard.
Yeah, okay then.
Don't pull it too hard.
I don't know if it came with a warranty.
Oh, I can see it. I can already see that it wants to move down a bit.
Yeah,
as well.
So then just pull the legs and they could dunk down a little bit.
Oh my god! He's actually. I love the fact he's done that as well.
Yeah.
He's kept that the same.
He's recreated it. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, a little bit low. That looks proportionally way better. Yeah. There we go.
There you go. So he's actually quite tall for a Minibot, and he's one of the taller Minibots, and has quite long legs because of this little, you know, this joint. And it's a weird one. It's a bit like how G1 Windcharger's arms slide as well, and people always miss that little step.
God, it moves really far. So I, when I was younger and I'd transform it, I'd always hate that bit where I'd have to fold his legs back in because it would kind of butt off the actual body of the car. Never thought about pulling that bit.
You were doing it wrong all those years.
Is that in the instructions?
I want to say yes, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. I've still got the card. I'll check next time I have it to hand.
Yeah.
Very awesome. Oh, always learning on this podcast. Very nice.
Yeah. I do find that that's one of those transformation steps that a lot of people seem to miss. I think I missed it for years until it was pointed out to me.
Totally.
Yeah. So now I relish pointing it out to other
people.
Yeah,
that's great. That's so cool. I love it. But yeah, so Beachcomber is one of the figures, characters, but as an alt mode, the little beach buggy.
Yeah,
I played with that for hours. Literally
cute.
Yesterday, and also when I was a child. It's great.
Tiniest rubber tires as well.
Yeah, they are totally such a cool little toy.
Superb design. It's talking about favorites and all of that. That's the thing. Like I would say my natural inclination might have been to say Warpath, but then we start talking about Beachcomber, and I'm like, it could be Beachcomber, Yeah. And in a minute we'll talk about Sea Spray, and I'll be like, could well be Sea Spray. It's like or it could be Powerglide. I don't know. It's possibly not Cosmos. It's possibly not Cosmos. But
that guy.
I still love it.
Swooshing around as well.
Still love
Everyone loves Cosmos. He looks like one of them little bells from like a hotel, doesn't he?
Absolutely does.
That's what TFN needs. TFN, no, they wouldn't.
Cosmos bells.
Cosmos bells. I'm not sure they would want that, would they? Drive them all nuts as we all go in and ding, ding, ding.
Yeah,
on Cosmos's head. Yeah, that seems wrong.
Make it so.
Oh God. Moving on. You are right though. Beachcomber's alt mode is just perfection to me, and just the toy is so wonderful. And there's, like the little recolors that Matt has done. This is Matt from Toy Foo, of course, and people. I've banged on about these many times. These customs that Matt does online. He does Action Masters and all kinds as well. But he's just more recently, started doing Minibots. And it really kind of reignited my love with that toy again. I've got 4 different color versions of this Beachcomber mold now as well, including Matt's yellow one, the red KO that I have, the Generation 2 green one, and the blue one. And they're just wonderful, honestly.
Yeah.
And to this day, it's still the very best version of Beachcomber. It's the simplicity of it's never been beaten, but
I agree.
None of the modern versions, Hasbro, third party, come close. They always are either so overly complex, like the third-party Masterpiece style ones, or in Hasbro cases, they don't quite nail that. Like the Titan's Return one is nice, but it's not quite there. And then the recent one is really, really good. But when you turn it into a car mode, you realise whoever's driving it wouldn't be able to see over the thing because the roll cage is like, there's no space. It's one of those where they've had to fit things in a certain way. So it just doesn't quite work properly. Whereas this one, it just nails both modes very simply, very easily. And it still looks the best of those toys.
Yeah. It's a funny old one because it's hard to get these toys right when you start, like you mentioned about like third-party Masterpiece ones and things like this, and it's a great example because they're always bigger, to kind of represent the cartoon because these guys were kind of slightly upscaled in terms of their fictional portrayal a little bit, and you lose a little bit of the charm, I think, in that as well. And the appeal,
simplicity that makes it.
Exactly. The appeal of these toys is the simplicity. It is how straightforward they are. The fact that you can transform them within a minute, no more. And so suddenly I find that when I'm into kind of minute 10 of having to, or more, of having to transform a Beachcomber, I'm a bit kind of, what's going on here?
Totally.
What are we doing?
These are the only Transformers I would give to an adult when I was younger and know I would get it back and it wouldn't be broken because there was the classic, if I gave them anything more complicated, they'd break it. Whereas these ones were, best way to put it, they were pretty kind of obvious in what you needed to do. They followed the same kind of thing. And you kind of knew where you were trying to go with it. And that was part of the fun of it. I think what you said earlier about the fact that all the kids were carrying these around in their pocket is exactly the same reason. You're not going to carry a Jazz or a Hound and that kind of thing because it's not the type of thing you could just muck around with in the playground.
No.
And then, you're sitting there for like, give me a minute. You need a bit more time on it. But if you each bought in a mini Autobot, you could just have a little blast on it in the lunch break and then off you go. Amazing.
Yeah. I see it with my son now when we're looking at Transformers and stuff, and he often wants to see various items from my collection and we'll look at it together. And if it takes too long to transform, I lose him. So I often say to him, I'm like, this is going to take too long, mate. You're not going to want to sit through it. And like I try and get him involved, but even then it only holds his attention for so long, and anything Masterpiece level is out, just because it's the complications of it. It's not his thing at all. But something like this is perfect. And it's just exactly the right, he can transform more complicated stuff, but this is the right level to hold that age group, in terms of attention span and things like that.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice combination because these things, as we've already talked about, did get expanded within the cartoon, and they a lot of them got their own stories and stuff like that as well, which added depth to them. But it goes back to that play value, that fun factor, and that you could just make an entire story up, about these mini Autobots. And it was quite often me and my brother I'd have the mini Autobots, and he might have like Starscream as a kind of seeker jet, and that would be it. So I'd have all these little mini Autobots and be mucking around with that. So it was pure play value. That's what we're talking about for me. Yeah. And that is very much the 85 mini Autobots as well. Don't get me wrong, I love the other ones as well. But I think because there was such a variety in this line, you've got one that's for water, you got one for the air, you got one that's, you got the vehicle, you got the spaceship,
space.
It's great. It's like such a mix of different ones. And to get that kind of diversity in one release, from one release in a year.
It's exactly cool. That. Yeah, I remember, again, coming back to the cartoon and these characters, but the toys as well. I remember seeing Warpath for the first time, again, in Dinobot Island, when he comes rolling down and he does that whole thing of like, hey, Blitzwing, tank you, and they start going against each other. Yeah. Honestly, as a little...
Zowie!
Whatever age I was like, man, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen in my life. It just... blew me away.
When they did the War for Cybertron video game a few years ago, my favorite thing in that game is that you can play as Warpath for a few levels. Like normally in these games you get like Optimus Prime, Starscream, the same, handful of characters. And then out of nowhere it is like you get to be Warpath and you're just like, brilliant, perfect, absolutely fantastic. And he stole my heart in that show. Like, it's not one of those mini vehicles, but I think it's that thing that so many kids had this and he was so accessible. They become your characters, don't they?
They really do. There was something about his introduction, and it was the way he says his line, they don't call me Warpath because I'm gentle. And it just burrowed into my brain. There was something, so much of Transformers is about taking the tiniest little bit of influence and your brain fills in all the blanks and just kind of, it's like a brain worm almost, it's like it just seeps in there. And it was just that one introduction, just that one line just got me. And I was like, this guy... is my guy, and it was like the fact that he wasn't a sports car, he was a tank, an Autobot tank, that he talked strange, and all of this. It was just everything. Honestly, loved it.
And quite a weird looking toy when you think of with this massive barrel coming out of his chest.
And super weird transformation. Is that
super? Yeah.
He kind of like folds up like a lazy boy chair, doesn't he? It's kind of like something like that going on.
Good analogies tonight. I'm really into all these comparisons.
Well, I'm at warp speed with them, so
this is
Have you got a Star Trek wiki open or something? What's going on?
Yeah, I think I must have swallowed one tonight.
It's going to be a Star Trek podcast, not a Transformers podcast. Get a whole new demographic, I suppose.
But I like the slide on the chest. The way the barrel pops forward.
Just gonna say,
when you find like a real used vintage one, it's one of those parts, like mechanism, that's quite simple. It's always sticky, if you know what I mean, like stiff to move, and it's like you can't get it to sit flush anymore and stuff like that. It's just again real interesting transform. The head pops up out of the tank turret.
I would say that slide bit is one that you've got to be careful. We're talking about these toys being fairly indestructible or whatever. That's one bit you've got to be slightly careful with, because I have seen people wrench it, without sliding the whole turret back and forth. And obviously, if you do that, I have seen Warpaths with stress marks around there and everything.
So I'm looking at my database, and on one of the Warpaths I've got a note saying stress point on head and sliding mechanism.
You've been cranking it too hard.
Well, I admittedly bought it with that, but now thanks to Matt as well, he gave us some clues and pointers on how to fix stress marks and stuff like that. So a little bit heat gun,
the old hairdryer
as well.
Hairdryer,
exactly. But it is, as you were saying, I always thought it's quite funny as I got older. But the fact that Warpath's head is the opening for where the humans would go into the tank. I always thought that was quite funny. It's just like they open it and it's like, hello. It's a giant head there. It's just like, excuse me, sorry.
Have you seen the bearded Warpath?
No.
There's a variant.
What?
Have you not seen this, Liam?
With the black mask.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Faceplate.
Yeah. Here, I'll drop you.
I need to see this. Yeah.
There is a Warpath variant. It's not a very good picture, but you can see there is a Warpath variant.
Ooh.
I've just posted. It's a screen cap from eBay. It doesn't normally go for £350.
I don't,
that's ridiculous.
Ultra rare.
I've seen it go for nothing. Because there's very often. The people selling them maybe don't realize it's a variant or whatever. But yeah, it's got like a little. It is kind of like a little battle mask or something, but it looks a bit like a brown beard.
Is that what it's intended to be? Is it actually an official release, or was it?
It's an official release. Yeah, yeah. It's an official variant. I mean, you can see in the description there. It's called it's bearded Warpath. And that's very often what people call it.
It's not meant to be a beard, Jason. I think
no, totally.
Just painted his faceplate. But he's got a really interesting face. Like that's one of the things about the vintage cards for these is the art was front and center of those cards in a way that's different to the boxes, the box toys where they're off to the side. And it's still prominent, but with the cards, they're right in the middle in front of your face for these. And like you look at the Warpath one and his face, and same with Powerglide, they're so memorable of what the art of those toys look like.
That's really, really true.
So unique.
It's not my favorite art. Like I will say that quietly, but like it's this Minibot art is quite weird. I quite like the Warpath one just because it's like arms jutting out the sides, quite strange. The Powerglide art, I could take or leave a little bit.
But I think it definitely nostalgia for me here, and keep in mind, I'm one of those kids. I moved a lot when I was a kid, so I have all my original boxes and cards for all the Transformers that I've got for G1 stuff. So I've got these cards. They're in a little slipcase, and I do really affectionately look at that artwork. But it is purely nostalgia, and I do like because Powerglide's arm is like massive, isn't it? In the way it's coming out of the frame, but it was very much of that. It did have that same nod to where the comic, the UK comic, was at that point as well. It was based off of the toys and all that kind of thing.
He looks like he's ripped Johnny Cage's heart out of his chest with his hand.
It does, totally. Fatality. It
is. It's very funny. And it's kind of, there's a part of me that I always thought is like, oh, it's kind of, no disrespect to the artist, illustrator, but it felt quite kid-like in the way that it was drawn,
It is a little bit like that.
So kind of super deformed and this kind of thing.
It's quite weird that of the 585 Minibots, 4 of them on their box art are kind of reaching up and grabbing with their left hand. Like if you look at them all side by side, it's like they're all doing kind of the same move in a weird way.
Yeah, dynamic. That's what it was. Like capture the kids' attention when they're leafing through all the different
big hand
toys. Yeah, totally.
Definition of grab the attention, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Take me home. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I do kind of enjoy that Warpath just has the singular foot as well. Like he's just he's like got a short circuit thing going on, doesn't he? Is it just with his tank treads?
Again, really 70s robot vibes, from the way it's that whole treaded legs going around the place. But this transformation, man, the way I always thought it was so cool. Again, it's quite unique because these Minibots or mini vehicles aren't from Microchange, are they? So these are separate, and you can really tell they're different to, say, Bumblebee and those kind of toys. There's just something about them that feels separate and unique, and the way he transforms, like the way he just lies down, but it's the way his arms slide in, then you click it in, and the thing floats over. It's a really unique toy, isn't it?
It's a weird one with these guys because they weren't designed specifically for Transformers either. So I think they did have their origins kind of in that pre-Transformers arena, but then just unreleased or whatever and kind of filtered through.
Maybe it was a lot like the Scramble City Bots, wasn't it, where they were designed for Diaclone or something, or Microchange, or these other toy lines. They designs that were for that, and then they were just ported over to Transformers instead later.
I believe so.
Yeah, because there are a lot of similarities in size and in some of the things, but they're also very different in the way they've all got those small black wheels.
Yes, very true.
And that's really unique to this to this era of the Minibot, the 85, whereas the 84 ones are all like, the big wheels, aren't they? You know what I mean? Rubber tired or
absolutely. It's quite apparent that these 5 were designed as a set, isn't it? Like they very much feel like a set of 5.
Although I wonder if that's why when we were saying about Beachcomber feels a little bit different. Like when you were saying earlier, you quite rightly pointed out, he's like, and then you've got Beachcomber, who's just a car, and he's got the rubber tires and stuff, and he feels a lot more in step with the others. I think, maybe the 84
like
ones.
the 84 guys? Yeah, a little bit.
So the speed they come out in Transformers, I can't imagine it's Hasbro doing them themselves.
I mean, there are some images of the prototypes and stuff out there as well, of course, which is what ultimately influenced the eHobby GoBots package that came out, sort of in the mid-2000s with like the, what became Pathfinder and what else was in there? There was Treads, the Green Warpath, all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And those were all originally the prototype colors of these toys. And there is a really early Takara catalog, which is where you get stuff like Nacelle catalog. It's a catalog image, I should say, not a whole catalog. But it's where stuff like Nacelle was first featured and things like this. Not named Nacelle, but just a prototype thrust that was later given the fan name Nacelle and then sort of became a real thing. But that's where you get the little red Beachcomber in there originally, which is obviously inspired the KO that I have. It's got the white Warpath. It's got the really weird coloured sea spray, kind of a blue and red sea spray that has never been recreated officially anyway that I've seen. So yeah, really kind of odd decos for all of them. And so they definitely had prototypes under Takara at that one stage. And Beachcomber does seem to be part of that ilk. Do you know what I mean? It was definitely released with those other four as a prototype. So
yeah, I mean, it just feels like there's a bit of DNA between him. He feels like a bridge between the two eras. But yeah, they definitely feel of a set, like you say.
Yeah. Absolutely. So and I would love to have seen more recolors of these. I mean, as I said, even unofficially, Matt has done such a brilliant job. He's done several Warpaths now. He's done a few Cosmo.
Yeah, the Powerglide at the last TFN Mini, which was a charitable donation one, wasn't it? That you could win it. What was it for? It was from
Centurions.
Centurions, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Centurions. It was very awesome.
I have the Scrounge that he did from the Cosmos.
Oh, I
we're talking about these guys. We bought them together, didn't we? The mini TFN last year, and they are absolutely fantastic.
Just beautiful, cool. Really, really great work.
He's a talented dude, man.
Yeah, very talented, cool. and all for charity as well, all for Mary's Meals, which is a very worthy cause. So it's never a tough decision to kind of pick this stuff up at one of the cons or whatever, because you know that ultimately it's going to a good cause. So, but yeah, he's done a few. I think it's just Sea Spray now, actually, that he's not done. I think he's done the other four, but not Sea Spray so far. So I hope that he moves on to that, because that's a real favourite mould as well.
Yeah, it would be cool. There's just going back to the toys as well, and when I was looking at this, because I'd have forgotten, but they each had like their skills, if you like. Do you remember? So like
specialist skills.
What?
So like Cosmos was space guy.
Well, he was reconnaissance and communications.
Powerglide was air guy.
Airman,
Powerglide was warrior. Yeah. Beachcomber, he's a geologist. Obviously.
Yeah.
Sea Spray, naval defense. And Warpath was also a warrior.
Sea guy. Yeah.
Sea guy. Exactly. Yeah.
Powerglide's air warrior, isn't he? That's what he does.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, ground warrior and air warrior. Yeah, buddies. That's what it is for Warpath
is just
for Powerglide.
The firepower. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. It's great.
There is something about the five of them that does just stand out in even the world of like early Transformers. There's just something very unique about each of them, but this unique in a way that the five of them all share, if that sort of makes sense. It just makes them all stand out as a set, I think. And it's weird as well, because I think the fact that not all of them have been reissued has sort of almost contributed to the love of them a little bit as well. I mean, there's never been a reissue Sea Spray. There's never been a reissue Beachcomber. The other three have all had reissues.
Wait. You've got to cover your bases here, because someone is about to tweet us and go, well, actually, G2.
Well, okay. There was Generation 2 Beachcomber, yes. Yeah. Of course,
but not
I'm aware
of the
that.
Kind of original G1
blue. And Sea Spray. Yeah. I mean, like a proper reissue.
No,
whereas the others have all been reissued by Takara, or, the recent Walmart ones, things like that.
Yeah.
But if you want a blue Beachcomber, or you want the original Sea Spray, then you've got to go back and get those 1985 or early releases anyway. One of the sort of actual vintage copies, which is quite the thing. But I love the G2 versions as well, and that really makes them special. But I like the fact that they were so different. That they had the really sparkly green Beachcomber, and shout out to the little sparkly purple variant sea spray as well, which is a real favourite of mine.
It's just cool, isn't it? That's what you want. These in just a variety of different colours.
I was just thinking, just to go back slightly, we're talking about the origins, and I was just thinking, are we talking about the 84 things that bots and whether these were similar? And I just realised I was thinking about Powerglide. He has that squish, same style to his alt mode, doesn't he? That they have, and they all have that same sort of super deformed chibi style.
Are you going to say chibi? Chibi?
Well,
chibi?
Cora Q.
When we looked this
up, I knew
you
were going to mention this. I knew you were going to say it.
The correct pronunciation, my friend.
Yeah. According to one of those robotic voices that you get on Google, right? Yeah.
Wow. Well, you got to trust AI now. When would that ever do us wrong?
Sure. Sure, I do.
Do you know, we talked about this in another...
Vorsprung das Technik.
Now you're going back. Remember we talked about the G1 GoBots as well, like that, because you mentioned that earlier, didn't you, Sixo? Just about that you've got like
the box set.
Yeah, the box set and stuff like that. But when you look at that, because you've got three from the 85 line in there with Cosmos, Warpath, and Powerglide as part of that set. That's right, isn't it? And and just the fact that they managed to, they became so kind of part of that group, like we're saying, and it's quite easy to just think about like the mainstays for that, like your Cliff Jumper, your Bumblebee, obviously. Gears was a bit of a fave as well. But I think these ones, the quirkiness of these ones, and just when you said there about the fact there's never been a sea spray, I do remember in like kind of my school days and stuff like that, the sea spray was quite derided. It was not really a massive favourite by kids and stuff like that because he did have his big mono slipper. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And they kind of like, because they'd like all my friends and stuff had grown up with like Bumblebee and Cliff Jumper, who had quite clearly defined kind of feet and things like that. It was very different. And then there was just quite solid. It was quite a different take, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah,
and there was more of a love for the other ones, like your Beachcomber.
It's quite boring, really, as a vehicle, like as a hovercraft compared to a tank, jet sort of car for kids.
Yeah,
what's a hovercraft ever done? It's like
hover about
P&O ferry or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, glide over the water. that's pretty exciting.
Awesome.
But...
Yeah, but if it goes over, a rogue turtle shell, it probably pops and sinks, doesn't it? Who wants that? No one.
It just meets Raphael and gets popped.
Have you never seen the Jackie Chan film where someone drives a hovercraft down the street and it doesn't end well for it?
Is there a rogue turtle shell? Are they suddenly in the Super Mario Brothers?
No, when I said turtle shell, that's what I was thinking of, the spiky turtle shells from Mario. And suddenly I was like, that's not real.
It's not a shock that that's where your brain has gone, honestly. So
some designer like, I can't do it. Why? What if the Mario turtle shells come from?
Right, exactly, yeah. I love the G1 Sea Spray toy, man. And
Risk assessment.
When you get a little loose copy as well, it's like one of the only toys that you can transform one-handed.
Just by lifting it, yeah.
Yeah, you literally just pick it up and it's transformed, that's it.
He's also really straight. His arms are against the sides because of the way they sort of curve around. He looks really stiff. Like
it's brilliant.
Like
he does.
When you lift him up, it's like he's just risen from the grave.
A little bit. I see what you're saying. I got to point out at this juncture that this is one of BMAC's favourite Transformers, by the way. Sea Spray.
There we go. Well, then we're gonna have to get a G1 reissue, aren't we? That's what.
Well, it might not be possible
because he won. Yeah, true.
And
good
yet
point.
we've still not had one in Legacy or anything.
No, that's true.
Yeah. But he mentioned it, didn't he? When he was when he came on the pod, he was talking about it. When we had Hasbro on, he was talking about the fact that he had his little G1 Sea Spray and that it was a real favourite of his.
Yeah. He did. So, but this is the thing. It's kind of my point, which was the fact that, like, as kids and stuff, I remember people. And kids choosing their kind of favourites out of each year that the stuff would come out and a kind of fan favourite. But then how that changes as well, I got older as well. Because I'll be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of Sea Spray when I was littler. I was kind of more interested in Outback, actually, was one of my favourites. Just really enjoyed it as a little kind of trucky kind of thing. But now, again, multiple different versions of Sea Spray. I think because the character got more... it got its own episode, as we talked about earlier, which was really nice as well. But the colour scheme of Sea Spray is something that kind of baby blue, yellow, really, really something that has...
I think that contributes to it feeling like not a cheaper toy, but do you know what I mean? To it feeling...
Quite kiddie.
Yeah, exactly.
Baby. It's like baby colour toy, isn't it? Yeah. That's kind of what that is.
A less serious toy than...
Yeah.
like a Jazz, for example, or something like that. Yeah. Which is it's meant to be ultimately. So
yeah, but definitely got a love for it amongst all the others.
All of these characters, though, like you hit on something there, they are so unique and interesting. Like they're also memorable. Like in the cartoon, Sea Spray's voice and him being like a small little portly bloke, with his slippers and all that, and then Warpath and then Powerglide. Like you were saying earlier about Powerglide and Warpath and stuff like that with the voices and the things they say. And they're so memorable, and it's really strange. It's all 5 of these are extremely memorable characters as well as toys.
And lovable and just full of charm. And I think that's what I've always appreciated about all 5 of these. I think it was Nick from Toyfu said online recently, talking about Toyfu again, that, it's strange when you consider that these toys at the time in 85, Hasbro could have literally just pumped them out in every color under the sun. Like obviously when you think about them filling in the line originally with Cliffjumper and Bumblebee both being released in both colors, that kind of stuff. But they could have put out all 5 of these in 5 colors each. I don't know. I would have loved them. And certainly now, years later, that would be really something. Like if that had happened.
Yeah, get a rainbow of Beachcombers. Yeah, cool.
We don't really have anything like this in the same way now. Like I feel like the Minibot was a real thing at the time, and it's not such a thing now. Like I can't imagine this happening like randomly. I know we get Core Class and things like this, but even those they have more engineering than these ever did. More complications and things like this. And I just think that we've kind of lost that real charm, little simple toy.
Yeah, I'd agree.
The perspective on those sort of things has shifted, though, hasn't it? Like when we had these were new and exciting and different. And now, when you think of, say, an equivalent cheap pocket money toy that's simple, it's very much looked down on with disdain with kids, even from kids. Look at it; it just feels cheap and different, a bit naff. You know what I mean? Because it's always like a shrunk down version of Optimus Prime that's made out of, I don't know, washing up liquid bottle, or you know what I mean? You get those the non-transforming one where maybe his head pops out or something. It's always like £3 or £4 toys that are not very good, whereas these are all great toys straight away of unique, interesting characters, and they never feel like they're a compromise or like you're buying something less than. And I think that's one of the things you get with sort of modern version toys. It's very clear these ones are cheaper because that.
You've hit on it there.
And quite often the cheaper versions now, they're like kind of one-step changes. You smack on the table and they'll pop into position. And they're kind of then marketed and seen as kind of more kiddie, kind of slightly baby toys rather than anything else. And because the thing is, if I get a Core Class, and particularly like, I'm trying to think of the recent, is it the Legacy ones that are kind of then in between on some of the lines? I do have to sometimes just kind of have a quick glance at the instructions to kind of go, what am I doing with this bit? Where's it going? And it's more just about what I'm trying to do.
It's not as intuitive, is it?
It's what we said earlier, the fun factor, the fiddle factor, the fact you can just pick it up, give it to somebody who has no idea about Transformers, and they'll work it out. That's a lovely thing to have.
I think so. I do. We've talked a bit about this with kind of Micromasters and stuff as well, and it's for me it's even more evident in the sort of comparison between vintage Micromasters and modern Micromasters, because I just think the added articulation and stuff, sure, it's nice to have, but it sort of takes away from the experience a little bit for me, And I do think on toys of this size that are meant to just be little fiddle formers that you can, as you said, just pick up and play with, transform with almost without thinking about it. There's a satisfying click-clack precision to these toys that modern toys wouldn't have. Like if you tried to recreate it, I think the added articulation, it's almost having to like reposition a leg or an arm makes it less satisfying than just the...
detracts from the toy, I think.
Yeah.
When you have these sort of toys, like I'll take the Core Class Soundwave as a great example of this, where it's fantastic.
It's fantastic.
It's a brilliant toy. It's one of my favorite modern, Legacy or Generations, these kind of toys. But it's for me. It's for collectors, and it's like, you know what Soundwave is? Here's a smaller version. It's like, I've got loads of versions. So he lives in this tapestry of over many different generations of Soundwaves I've owned and I still own, and he fits in and he's wonderful there. Whereas these were just unique characters, and they're very specifically toys that work on their own. And it doesn't feel like there's anything cut back. You never look at it and go, I wish he had this. I wish they had that. It's missing this compared to this other toy. And I think we just live in such a different era of perspective where we're so used to these toys now. Whereas here, like these toys stand up compared to much bigger toys of that era and line. Like they're equally as good, and in some cases better, as we said with the 1984 ones. And it's just like it feels like a toy that was designed, concepted, designed, produced, and it nailed it straight away. It's exactly that. A good toy that just happens to be at a low price.
Yeah. And as for me as well, this people ask this to me a lot, which is like, oh, would you get rid of your entire collection? And I'm always like, no, I love it. It's like, what if you had to? And I'd be like, okay. And it's like, would you keep anything?
You sound like people are trying to force you to get rid of it. You're like, no,
no, don't make
leave me alone.
But the mini Autobots are the Transformers that I would always keep,
right?
No matter, they would be they have been right from the beginning, and I would want them right to the end. They're just perfect.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
You really feel with these, like someone at Takara, when they first started doing the mini vehicles, they pitched this as this, rather than like now you would look at it and it would be somebody would go, right, we need to make a toy that fits in a £5 price bracket or something like that.
Yeah.
And they work that way down. Whereas with the mini vehicles, it feels like they were working up. It was like, just new, here's an idea. It fits here. Let's put it into this toy line. It works. This is what this toy is. And it just happens to be low price because it's small.
I totally agree with that. And I think it's funny considering that these are supposed to be the low price point items of the line at the time, and they are supposed to be the sort of easily accessible, early age friendly, cheap, as you said, register toys almost, on the counter toys.
The pocket money toy.
The pocket money toy, exactly that.
Yeah.
They are all of those things, and they do all of those things well. They tick all of those boxes. They hit all of those categories. But they're also exceptionally well made, well designed, clever, innovative toys, and that is there's a sort of a love and an attention to detail that's gone into all 5 of these. I think that almost is beyond the brief. That it's beyond what you would sort of expect now, certainly for a toy of that price point, and whatever else. And I really truly believe that there's just a magic with these 5, and it's not just nostalgia talking, although I'm sure that is a big part of it as well. I do really believe there's a little magic imbued in all 5 of these that is hard to capture again.
Yeah. They're special toys.
They really are.
I think when Hasbro, set this wave, they set this phase of the mini vehicles to stun, didn't they?
Oh, God. I thought he was making a serious point.
We were finishing on a really nice kind of slightly romantic ending there.
We had it in the bag,
Oh, there's going to be an insurrection at this rate. Sixo's just like, beam me up.
Exactly. Oh, God.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, it's
wow. I should have brushed up on my Star Trek puns before tonight.
That's amazing.
I could talk about these toys all night, but I think that's probably going to about do it on Minibots, because it's just going to turn into a sort of spiraling gush fest otherwise, isn't it? And nobody needs to hear that. So it sounds a bit messy, if nothing else. But we do love these toys, all 3 of us. I do want to give a big shout out to Matt as well. We've talked about Matt from Toy Foo a few times tonight, and it does incredible work. You can check him out on Instagram. He's at RockLordsRock on Instagram, and he does wonderful customs. Rock?
He does rock.
Rock? He does rock, and he is Rock Lords Rock. Yeah, there you go. But he does incredible customs, as I said, all for charity. He does them for Mary's Meals, which help to basically pay for food for underprivileged and starving kids in some of the world's poorest countries. So it's a really, really great cause. And anything that you get from Matt ultimately goes towards that. So it's definitely worth checking out. There's some exceptional work.
Amazing stuff.
I do want to say as well, have you guys seen, Liam, I know you will have seen this, but Jason, have you seen the Cosmos Ninja Turtles custom that he did?
I think, was that not for one of your...
it's for a friend of ours. It's our friend Nick. It was primarily designed by another friend of ours, Dan. Cool. Came up with the idea, and Matt took it and ran with it. And I've just posted a picture again in the chat so you can see it. But this thing,
perfection.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
It's so good, isn't it?
It's one of those things that when the idea came up, you just went, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
of course.
So works.
How has this never been done?
Why has no one ever thought of it before?
I love it.
It's basically, I'm trying to think, I'm sure we can tweet some pictures of this or something, but, if you're just listening to this at home, you imagine Cosmos in his spaceship mode, and we've put a little bandana, or Matt has, round the sort of middle part to look like Leonardo, and then it's got the little classic toy Leonardo sort of, grimace on the front of the spaceship mode, and it's painted green. And it just looks like Leonardo's head, doesn't it? But then it folds up into a little Ninja Turtle character as well.
And they've used
it's genius. So
the space where Cosmos's faceplate is, and they've drawn the mouth over the top.
It's amazing. Honestly, I'm just in awe of it. I kind of hope that he does the other three. Yeah, incredible.
That's that's a genius crossover. Absolutely brilliant. Love it.
That's the Turtles crossover we need.
It is.
That's the one I'd buy. Absolutely. Yeah. Brilliant.
I think a lot of people would.
Take note, Matt. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but go and give Matt a list. Go and give Matt a look and give him a follow and whatever, because he's a really good guy as well.
Yeah.
And, as I say, all for a good cause as well.
Total hero and a half shell.
There we go.
Yeah.
Branching out with your references now, I see.
Like it. Yeah, nice. This is more the area that I expect you to be in, Leo.
Yeah. I've run out of dilithium crystals or whatever.
Oh, really? I thought you might cling on.
I've been trying to find a way to get
there. We go.
Boom, done. That's the finish.
Had the last word on that. There we go. Moving on now.
Gosh, I don't think I've got the Will Wheaton to live anymore.
That's bad, man. So bad.
Oh no.
God, heaven help us. He's going to be reaching in his mailbag in a minute as well. You never know what's going to come out of there, honestly.
I'm trying to get a Guinan reference in. That's what our was called.
Careful.
Whoopee. I'm trying to get a Riker reference as well. It's just like,
I hardly know her. There we are.
You almost crushed Jason. Then.
Oh, there we are.
How do I know so bloody
quick? I know too quick as well.
Right. Anyway, moving on. If you want to hear more of this, and why would you not? Then you can get on our Patreon, can't you? And we have lots of stuff on there. We have 5 glorious tiers of stuff. Most importantly, if you sign up at one of the sort of top 2 tiers, then you can get a lot of additional material as well. So we have the bonus minisodes that we talked about earlier at Sixo's Butler level. Or if you sign up as a Gold Box Classic, you also get fortnightly mini-series as well on a range of ongoing topics. You get Liam's Tatman, Jason's Titan's Return miniseries. We've got my IDW ongoing reread, which we've just done another one of, and a regular Skybound focus as well. And that does mean that if you sign up as a Gold Box Classic, then you get weekly exclusive material, which is quite something. Or you can just sign up for early access to, as a Man in Pig, get early access to episodes such as this, or as an Inner Beast and get on our Discord server as well. And another big perk of the podcast, aside from all this...
Hang on. You're not getting away with this, Sixo.
Oh, I could see you gleaming over there, just waiting to get a pun in. Come on, what is it?
No, there's no pun here, but I believe someone needs to issue a correction over the scores for last week's episode.
Oh. Do they? I don't think
so. For the last episode, for the quiz episode? Because there was a miscount. I believe.
Wasn't the last episode, of course. But...
the last episode but one. But...
Right, you're taking your point off now. You got the episode wrong.
You won by a long way.
but I had an extra point that was just not counted.
So did
Jason
I.
did too, but nobody cares. But I did.
Incredible.
I know. You need a T-shirt. That's what you need.
Absolutely incredible. You're coming back for a victory lap. Is that what this is?
Yeah.
No, I just like to, set the record straight. You know me, I believe in the sanctity of competition.
Competition.
Quizmasters Guild and all that.
Look, Chris McFeely did the quiz and he trounced you. So there you go.
93.
Did he trounce me? Was he going by the correct? Was he going by the correct scores? Who knows?
Who witnessed this? That's what Liam's going to be.
If we can't rely on the integrity of Chris McFeely, then this fandom,
the world is gone.
It's gone. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing left anymore.
There's nothing to hope for.
The man is
your
beyond
integrity.
reproach.
I'm questioning here now.
Right? Oh,
flipped in the answers, didn't he? Flipped in all the questions.
He wouldn't have taken them even if I had offered them to him. He would have. He's not that kind of guy. I note that he even mentioned online that he unawarded himself a point because he was not quite as close to the Fort Max question as Jason was.
That's what people do, don't they? You know, when they've got something to hide, you know, when they've gone for a speeding ticket, something like that, and they're like, oh, I can't have been driving. I've never been able to drive. I can't see. I'm blind or something, you know. It's always
I wouldn't know that's what people do, because I wouldn't do that kind of thing. But you seem very confident about it, Liam.
It's good.
I'm just making sure, you know, I like to keep things on the above board.
Liam and Chris need to do a kind of quiz face-off. That's what needs to happen. That's it. There we go.
You know. Oh no, you know, I'm that guy who go online on Street Fighter, win my first game handsomely, then retire undefeated with 100% victory record.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though you're not undefeated in this case, but
Twitter, a lot of things I said on Twitter. Who knows how much of it's accurate?
Sure. Okay. Well, have you issued your correction now? Then are you done?
I have. I feel like I just wanted to make sure. So if you think you beat my score, add 1.
Forever.
Yeah. Just keep going.
Good God. I feel like I was quite generous with some of the scoring, though. So
that's good.
Let's not revisit it now.
Yeah, done. Yeah.
What Sixo giveth,
Move
Sixo
along.
can take away as well. You know.
That's good.
Anyway,
too much power, Jason.
Yeah, I love it though.
Yeah.
Ultimate power.
I'm running it next time. Yeah.
That'll be something. That'll be interesting. So we do have a Patreon. Get on our Patreon. Get on our tiers. And another perk is Jason.
Yes.
Well, you're not the perk. Sorry. That's not what I was saying.
Hello.
He's a perk to us.
I get posted out to different patrons. Hello, patron. I'm here to pronounce everything for you. I've got my eyes closed. It's fine. I've got my eyes closed.
I actually think that a lot of our patrons would be up for you coming around just to cheer them up a bit or whatever. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, have a day out with me. There we go. Woo.
Oh, man.
That's it. I know, totally. No, the perk is that you not only get a shout out, but you also get to ask us some questions as well. So when you join at whatever tier, is it whatever tier? I don't know. How does this work?
Is that the name of it? That's the name of it.
Whatever tier. Goldbox Classic and Sixo Butlers, they get a nice little shout out. We know that. We know how this works, don't we, team? I'll caveat this that I'm getting sidetracked by an eBay listing that's coming to an end of God Neptune, and it's suddenly alerted to me that it's going to finish any minute. The Siacons, but differently coloured Siacons.
Do we need to wait whilst you finish your auction?
Yeah. No, I'm not going to go for it. It's
you not.
Well, your photo was the reason. I'm like, what's that?
Yeah.
And then suddenly this guy, it's like
sealed.
£112. No, it's loose.
Seattled.
But I don't need it anyway.
It's lovely though.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, but it's just because of the whole Siacons thing. It's kind of that's why.
Yeah. Collect them all.
That's your thing now.
It is my thing, exactly.
So it's one of this podcast.
I'll bring us back to the podcast. So as one of the benefits of being a Goldbox Classic and on Sixo's Butler, you get a shout out. And this month we can welcome Majin Starscream and the Goldbox Classic, who's joined us as well. Very much welcome to Majin Starscream. Very cool name.
Hello there.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Very good.
Excellent.
And you also get the opportunity to ask us a question. So we've got 2 tonight, gentlemen. The first one from our good friend, Patron, the Perfect Pixel, with 2 little kind of upsy eye emojis going on. Another pod question. Space and money weren't obstacles.
No, that was me. I put that in on the... That was me. I did that to say...
I don't add things.
No,
that's you're pointing up at the question.
I'm pointing at the question, yeah. That was me saying, this person has asked this question. It's a little arrow pointing up. You notice it's on the other one as well. It's me saying...
Koi has it too.
Yeah, this question is from this
Jason
person.
thought they were brothers.
Yeah, I thought they were both like doing little cat ears.
They've got little eye emojis. And I was like, what? And then I looked at the thread and I was like, oh God.
The Perfect Pixel then, with no little eye emojis. No emojis, no cat eye ears. Another pod question.
If the space little arrows.
You know that now?
It's an emojiless machine.
If space and money weren't obstacles, is there anything you would change about how you organise/display your collection that doesn't involve buying more toys?
Yes.
Sixo, what is it then?
I mean, lots, to be honest. It's funny because I think sometimes people assume that I have no space or money concerns when it comes to collecting, but I absolutely do. I mean, I've got a decent...
You do really well to promote that brand, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks. Really go for
Good
it.
job.
Really try.
Keeping up
so discreet with your purchasing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Keeping up appearances. But no, I have, as Liam has seen, I have a very nice space. I have a room, a robot room, like you do, Jason. With all the robots in it.
Museum. It's great.
Yeah, it's got a sort of museum quality to it, I guess, but just because of the way I display.
Because you only let us walk one way around it.
Got arrows.
You made us go in a circle. Yeah.
Is it the ropes? The little rope.
And the gift shop you make us exit through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's all of these. It all just adds to the experience, But no, I mean, it's a space thing, really, because I'm definitely at capacity at this point. And actually, funnily enough, just yesterday, I was going through and identifying stuff that is going to have to hit the sales pile just to kind of rationalize some of it, really. Do you know what I mean? And I don't really want to be at the stage of kind of... I don't think it's like one in, one out or anything like that, but I'm definitely at the stage of like some choices need to be made, and there are some robots that just don't fit anymore. So it's kind of more holistically thinking about where am I going with some of this and what's really important. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it just takes up so much room in your house.
So more space is where you're going.
Yeah, I think so. I've done the whole better organization, all of that kind of stuff. So there's not really anything else to kind of mine out of that. It's important. In the question, the bit that got me was that doesn't involve buying more toys.
Yeah.
And I think that is a really kind of crucial plateau almost that a lot of people hit, where it's like, okay, actually I've got a good amount of toys now. Like, how do I kind of hone that a little bit? And I think that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
Yeah. Liam, what about you?
I just buy some nice shelves. I need some actual decent shelves. I've been wanting to do it for ages, but they're so expensive.
They are, yeah.
And it's that whole thing of having to take the toys off the shelf to put them into new shelves. It's kind of that thing you're like, kind of can't be bothered to do that either.
Yeah. It's so for those that don't know, similar to Sixo, I've got it's Billy bookshelves that I have with glass shelves in it as well, which does make a difference to display because a lot more light comes in, stuff like that, which looks great. They work really well, but my collection is pretty crammed in. They're 3 deep. And there's not enough space to see everything.
Yeah.
So I can't remember. I know there's I saw them recently, but there's a whole kind of display case you can get, which has kind of a magnetic exterior to it and big sealed boxes that you can get that you can order in, but they cost a chunk of money.
Oh yeah, fortunately.
And they look amazing though. And I would love to have the space and means to get something like that to probably show it off. I think that would be so cool.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at as well. We've talked about it before on the pod, but you see sometimes, like in America, you see these huge basements, where not even a sort of fairly modest collection is it's the way it's spaced out. And I often see collections where actually stuff on the shelves is given room to breathe. And really kind of given its space, to kind of be shown off in a really nice way.
The final frontier.
I'm going to just breeze past it.
Just pretend he's not. He's
just don't
teleporting away. Yeah, just make the teleport noise. He's gone.
Make eye contact. Yeah, he's gone. I think it was a Gorn or something. But no, you and I'm with you, Jason. That a lot of my stuff, and I'm looking at it now, it is crammed. I mean, it came up recently. About we've talked about him before, and he is a patron of ours, TF Jobot 1. Who has that incredible collection, by character, where it's like all the hot rods lined up and things like this. And someone I saw actually commented, I'm always in awe of his shelves. I think they look immaculate. And someone did comment on that saying, oh yeah, but they're so crammed in. And I thought, yeah, but not everybody has endless space. It's a reality. Once you get a collection of a certain size, the space is the first thing to go, because if you're not looking to forever expand this stuff like some sort of giant amoeba or whatever, it has to kind of condense down, if anything, the space in order to fit more in. And you do kind of get to saturation point a little bit.
You do.
It, I think.
And I think the reality is that whatever space that I get, I will fill it,
Yeah.
And you have to make, you are making buying choices when you get to the point where I am with my collection. But I've always, I've said previously as well, I would love to combine my display architecturally with the property that I'm in. So if I could build functional walls that were actually part. I think that would be amazing. So it becomes part of the space. So it complements the space rather than taking up space, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
That'd be really cool as well.
I have seen it before where people do things like they'll have like a single bookcase or something kind of, on a landing by stairs or something, and they'll just have some robots in that. And then, but then they'll have something somewhere else in the house as well. So it's sort of like sporadically spread out a little bit. And I think there's an appeal to that as well, even if it's possibly a little bit less functional. I don't know.
Oh, like a feature.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like having, so there is the impact value of having your collection in like one space, and you walk in and everyone's just kind of like, whoa, and it does look really good. But this is the other thing. I also have I've got packaging, I've got boxes, I've got card art, I've got the original paperwork from all the G1 stuff, got artwork, that takes up a lot of space. So
it does.
It's a tricky one. Great question though. Thank you, Perfect Pixel. Nice one. Second question is from Koi. For my question, what Japanese exclusive figure would you want them to reissue? Thank you so much for all that you do. Very welcome, Koi. Let's go to Liam first.
It's going to be Lyo Kaiser, because he's only get 5 figures. Six. You get 6. But that's a toy I will never, ever in my life hope to be able to own. And so I would love them to do that above all the others. It's
a good one as well, I guess, because of the GPS thing, which you're going to need to mention, aren't you, at some point when you talk about toys like that and reissues.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a good one. Have you handled it before, Liam? Have you had the Rescue Force versions?
I had the Rescue Force as a kid, but I've never handled the actual thing, the actual vintage Japanese version with the other bots. Like, I'd really like to just have like a Hellbat, stuff like that. Just
Hellbat
with the little breast force little members as well and all that sort of stuff. It's become the iconic face of Japanese Transformers, I think, like more than almost any of the other characters.
Yeah.
To me, it's always Lyo Kaiser like that. And it's weird. He doesn't get many toys, and it's like a cool combiner.
Yeah.
Sixo, what about you?
It's a tough one for me because funnily enough, I was looking at the list of stuff that I'm still needing the other week, and it's not actually that much. It's all the sort of high end Japanese stuff now. That's the only G1 I need, really, and it's
so on brand again.
But I don't mean it in that way. But it's a lot of the stuff left is the stuff that is likely to cost you an arm and a leg, and so I it would be nice.
Blue Bacchus and stuff like that.
Yeah, Blue Bacchus, Black Shadow, Dino King. These are all things I don't have. There's not too many of them. Artfire is probably the one that I would say for this question as a reissue. Just because, two things. Firstly, it's a very durable reissue. I don't know if the Inferno mold is still working. It's been a few years. It's been a minute since it was last reissued. But you have to assume that it could be in the sphere of something that could be reissued. And they could do it in Artfire colours, and that would be really nice to see.
We saw it in the Toys R Us reissues, didn't we? And we saw it in the Takara ones.
The collector's edition, all that kind of stuff as well.
That would have been like the last times, wasn't it?
And that was probably 10 years or more ago. So it's hard to say now.
More than that.
Yeah, more than that, actually. Yeah, thinking about it. Yeah, much more than that. But it's oh god, that's a bit scary. But so is it still durable? The Inferno mold? We don't know. But that would be a really great reissue in my mind. I mean, it was supposedly going to be released back when they did Stepper. And then because Stepper didn't sell very well as part of the Transformers collection, they broomed the idea for doing Artfire as well.
That's a shame.
So, it's always felt like a shame for me because, Blue Bacchus and stuff like that, put that to one side. Dino King, it's tempting to say some of those. Or like, let's say Black Zarek because of the GPS and all of that. There are obviously legitimate reasons for picking those things, but Artfire is a special case because it's so within reach and it's a repaint. Yeah. And also, it's a bugger to find non-yellowed with nice stickers.
That's the thing. Totally.
So I just think it's almost there, and we almost had it. So I feel like that would be the one for me of all of them.
Yeah.
I don't relish the idea of picking up a vintage Artfire for the price that it goes at,
Yeah, totally. It's finding it, as you say, minty. I've always been this close to getting the MP. There was an MP version of it, wasn't there?
There was, beautiful thing.
Which is lovely,
really worth it.
Mine's quite a simple choice. I want Grand Maximus. That's what I want.
Yeah.
And, we got a Fort Max reissue. Give us a Grand Max reissue, please.
Well, again, another one that nearly came to be. You know, if the Encore had sold better, there was talk, you know, of them doing a Grand Max reissue. They were going to do it, and no bugger bought Fort Max, so they didn't.
Oh, what a waste! I know. Why not? It's like it's the one that we all talked about when we couldn't get it, and then it came out, and I was like, "Nah, I'll wait."
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love Grand Max as well. Black Zarek being a close second to that one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, superb question. Thanks, Coy. That's amazing. And more next time.
Yeah, indeed. And do get yourself signed up on our Patreon. It's patreon.com/Triple Takeover. You can check it out. And get yourself on there. These are just some of the perks, plus a lot of exclusive bonus material as well. I mean, we've just done minisodes on Bumblebee alt modes. We've just done one on MP10s, which caused quite a lot of comment on our Discord as well, didn't it? A lot of people quite excited to hear us chat about Masterpiece again after a little break from that. So I'm sure we'll be back on that again soon. So yeah, get on there.
It's you. Is it? It's you now. Is it me?
It's you.
It's you.
It's you. Line.
And if you want more Triple Takeover in a physical sense, well, got some good news for you.
Is it Jason again?
Hello. Am I? Knock. Oh, anyway, yeah. Let's not mess with people's ring doorbells.
You're not the shower curtain I ordered. But I've just been checking the old Instagrams there, and we've got a message from from a listener, Kirk from Kirk Lees.
Oh God, it's a Star Trek pun again, isn't it?
Is it? Why? Who's in Star Trek?
Captain Kirk, is that it?
No, is that not Luke Skywalker? Is that him?
Oh, he's back on brand. There he is.
Never heard of him. But old Kirk, the Kirk Lees, the Pennines. Nice little area of Yorkshire, probably a bit cold. Well, he says, I am writing this message to you as I am traversing this area in the Yorkshire Pennines, and it's a bit nippy out. So I was wondering, do you have any plans to do like a woolly hat with a Triple Takeover logo? And unfortunately, Kirk from Kirk Lees, not at this moment. But I bet you're quite cold walking up and down these Pennines because that's mountains and stuff. You should get one of our little warm coffee mug things, the travel mugs. Keep you warm, keep your belly warm,
I wondered where this was going.
Keep warm. You don't want them to get pneumonia or any of that lot. So be safe, Kirk. Buy something from rebel.com/people/triple
Good God. Oh dear. You gave it a good Troy, didn't you, Liam?
Oh, hey.
There it is.
Oh dear, Anna. But anyway, if you want to let us know what your favourite Minibot is, or mini vehicle, or what your preference for the term is, then you can find us anywhere on social media. We're on Blue Sky, Twitter, Facebook, all of that stuff. And Sixo, where can they find you? Well, I'm glad you asked, actually, because I am on YouTube, Patreon, all of these things. Oh, wait, you've got some good new content up at the minute, haven't you? 100%. Jason!
Hang on a minute. Actually, I can't even argue with it. It was pretty good.
Really good.
I'm into it.
Actually,
Leave it. Yeah.
Advertising. Did I miss anything? I mean, did you miss anything?
No, it was fine as it was. Thank you. Took it to myself.
You two impersonate each other. This is trying to messing with my head. I'm on the website, jswags.com tonight. That's where you can find me. Just for tonight only.
All right, just for tonight. Just on that website.
Be quick, people.
It
might change tomorrow.
So, Sixo, where can they find me?
Oh, God. I don't know why I always want to do a little impression of you going, why I, man? But it's not at all regionally accurate. I don't know. It's completely the wrong region altogether, but I don't know why.
It's the enthusiasm of Liam you're bringing in there. That's what it
is. Yeah. Love it. Well, I could say Chateauneuf de Pape. You might find me anywhere there's an S.
No, that's me. Where were they finding me?
Yeah, I was being you.
Very good imitation.
Thought you might get some franglais in there, you see.
Fromage free.
Doing your best Del Boy.
Fromage.
A potpourri.
Exactly. Right, well, I don't know what's happened to this episode, man. Honestly, it started with such a concise plan, didn't it? But we've somehow ended up here anyway. So, and look, as Liam said, if you like us and you love your 1985 Minibots, do get on the blur and tell us all about it, because we'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
I played with that for hours, literally yesterday.
You've been cranking it too hard.